Autism. 3. Introduction. A. BHI is 8 and has just joined a school. His father carries a packet of glucose biscuits, which he keeps feeding him to get him to enter the school. Once in the school, ABHI cries and makes a high-pitched screeching noise for a good 1 hour after his father leaves. He stims with his fingers and is unresponsive to his teacher's instructions. ABHI prefers to sit away from the other children and spends much of the day with his hands over his ears, unaware of the activities in the class. TRU is also 8. Unlike AHBHI, who does not use speech, TRU is very vocal. She likes talking. 2. The teachers about human races, Mongoloid, Negroid, Caucasian and so on, and the singer, Mukesh, her favorite topics. But she does not recount events that take place at home, nor does she recount events at school to her parents. She is at a loss at what to do at recess, tries to interact with the other children on the playground by talking about Mukesh and Caucasians, and ends up getting teased instead. She excels in her lessons, has no friends, and the bullying at school and subsequent stress levels are so high that her parents are concerned whether she might have to drop out of school in a couple of years. Chandru is a manager in a nationalized bank. He is handsome, dresses well in a slightly old-fashioned fuddy-duddy sort of way, and is a post-graduate who has held postings in different parts. Chapter 1. Introduction and historical overview of the country. Chandru is married and has 2 sons who are studying at a leading public school. Chandru is viewed as somewhat odd and sometimes weird by his colleagues, and as exasperating and rigid by his brothers and sisters. His wife sees him as eccentric but a good man, a good father, and a good provider. ABHI, TRU and Chandru are all very different. And they all have autism. Autism affects people in strikingly different ways despite the similarities in the core impairments. However, in each individual who has autism, the symptoms of autism vary in severity and expression. Autism is one of 5 developmental disorders included under the umbrella of the pervasive developmental disorders. In addition to autism, other disorders in this family are Asperger's syndrome, Rett's disorder, childhood disintegrative disorder, and when full criteria for one of the above disorders is not met, a child may be diagnosed with pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified, often written as PDDNOS. Autism is characterized by deficits in social interaction and communication, and unusual and repetitive behavior. Cognitive abilities in people with autism vary between those with average to above average intelligence to borderline and mild mental retardation, and others who function within the moderate to profoundly mentally retarded range, an oftentimes severely handicapping condition. Autism manifests at birth or within the first 2.5 years of life. 4. Many autistic children are perfectly normal in appearance but spend the time engaged in puzzling and disturbing behaviors that are markedly different from those of typically developing children. They may show little or no interest in people including their parents, and pursue repetitive activities with no apparent purpose. They have often been described as living in a world of their own. Some, but not all people, with ASD are nonverbal. Some autistic individuals may be remarkably gifted in certain areas, such as music or mathematics, as depicted in the film Rain Man, although this phenomenon, often called savants or savant syndrome, is relatively rare. All of them need help. An understanding of the current status of autism in India must take into account the progression of awareness and understanding of autism and references to the disorder over the years. In published literature, historical overview, people often state that autism happened only in the 20th century. But, just like many disorders which we identify now, autism is believed to have always existed. It was just not identified as a specific disorder. References to individuals whose descriptions are similar to the characteristics of autism have existed through history. Amongst these were the holy fools, who were a much venerated people in ancient Russia, dating back to the 16th century. These individuals were reported to be eccentric, given to parroting, with stereotypic speech and actions, obsessive interests, and lack of social awareness. Late 18th century accounts of the wild boy of Aveyron discovered in a forest in France, who was later named Victor, offers us a description that is remarkably similar to Canna's. A couple of centuries later, from the accounts of Victor that are available, there is evidence of a serious impairment in reciprocal social interaction.